Hello, everyone, boys and girls, people of the internet, and welcome back to Potted Plant Entertainment. This is our 2024 Halloween special. Yes, Halloween. It's the best time of the year. That and Christmas. Also, we get football this time of year, and that's always cool. Unless you're a Panthers fan like me, and then it sucks. But anyways, Halloween is awesome. It's like my favorite time of year. I love Halloween. Every year, I watch a bunch of scary movies, and on the channel, I talk about scary movies. And this year, guys, our Halloween special is 1408. This is a movie based on a Stephen King short story, and I believe it's one of his favorite adaptations of one of his books, which is very surprising because he wrote another one about a haunted hotel called The Shining. And it's my favorite horror movie, but he hated that movie, which is very odd because it's possibly the greatest horror movie ever made. But hey, to each their own, I guess. 1408 came out in 2007. It stars John Cusack, Samuel L. Jackson, and it was directed by Michael Hofstrom. This movie tells the story of a horror writer, who doesn't really seem to believe in the stuff that he actually writes. But he continues to go to these haunted places and doesn't experience anything, paranormal. But until he learns about the Dolphin Hotel in New York City and about room 1408. So he reserves a room, and he goes there, and he goes in the hotel room, and from there, shenanigans happen. This movie, I remember as a kid growing up, I always used to see parts of it on TV, and I was really intrigued by it. But it wasn't until a few years ago when I really sat down and watched it from beginning to end, and I absolutely loved it. I love this movie. This is a great movie. I would still say The Shining is a better movie. I've reviewed that on the channel if you want to check it out. But this is a really, really good movie. And it's one of the great Stephen King adaptations. Right up there with, The Shining and Misery. It's one of the great Stephen King adaptations. And without further ado, guys, let's get into it. So, for one thing, maybe this is just me, but I really like the lighting in this movie. There's a lot of yellow light in it, which is a very good mood setter for the film. The casting is absolutely fantastic. We need to talk about Samuel L. Jackson and John Cusack. Okay. These two in this movie are so freaking good. When they get together in Samuel L. Jackson's office, Samuel L. Jackson works at this hotel. I guess he's like a manager or something. I don't think really his job is ever specified. But they go in the office and he's trying to convince John Cusack not to stay in this room. And he's doing everything he can. He's trying to bribe him. He's trying to scare him. He's doing everything he can to keep him from going in this room. And John Cusack is just not buying it. And it's a real power struggle between these two. And they play off each other so well. And Samuel L. Jackson is a real scene stealer in this movie. He's not in the movie very much. He doesn't have a lot of screen time, like at all. But he steals the show. He is so good in this movie. Not that he's not good in everything he's in, because he absolutely is. But in this movie, he's a real scene stealer. And John Cusack, you really got to give him credit where it's due. This movie, basically, 90% of the time is just him on screen. And when that is a monumental task, to ask an actor in a movie to just him by himself sell it and be the entertainment, and he crushes it. John Cusack is such a natural actor, and he by himself, when on these scenes where it's just him, is so good. I also love the build-up of this movie. This movie builds up this hotel room like crazy, and then when John Cusack finally gets to the hotel room, your tensions are all built up because they build it and 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 build it. And then once you get the payoff, it's satisfying. It's great. It starts very subtle, but so creepy. It's like when he goes in a hotel room, there's like chocolates on the pillow, and like the end of the toilet paper, is like fold into a triangle like hotels do sometimes. Well, he eats the chocolates, he uses the toilet paper, and then all of a sudden they're fixed again. And it's so unsettling. It doesn't just start out with a ghost popping out at you. It starts out very subtle. And then it continues to build even more. And then once this movie gets going, it is white knuckled. It just keeps going. It doesn't really give you much time to breathe. It just keeps beating you over the head with something else screwed up that this hotel room is doing to John Cusack. And by the way, we are going to be getting into spoilers. Sorry, I should have said that at the beginning. But I am going to be getting into spoilers, by the way, in case you have never seen this movie. I also love the camera angles and the visuals in this movie. They get a couple shots inside the lock on the door. When he first goes to the door and he sticks the key in and he turns it, and you see the key go inside it and unlock the door. And it's basically their way of telling you it's go time. But then he opens the door and it's just a normal hotel room. And then it starts to build. And build. I love it. The script is so creative. The things that the script does to keep you engaged and keep this movie going, it's great. Like, it's just, like I said, it's so white knuckle because it's just one thing after the other. There's a snowstorm. There's a flood. There's some dude with a hammer that keeps jumping out at him. He's out on the ledge and then trying to get to another room, and then all of a sudden all the windows are gone. Like, it just keeps going. I also love there's some practical effects in this, and the CGI in it is also good, really good for I guess they filmed it in 2006. So for 2006, 2007. There's also, and like going back to the visuals real quick. There's there's a painting on the wall of a ship at sea during a storm, and the water comes flooding out of the painting into the room. And in one of the and there's a horse going like this, like the horse is like in despair. And then it cuts to John Cusack doing that same pose. I freaking love that shot. Like the visuals in this movie are so good. This is definitely one of the better, if not the best, PG-13 horror movie, because PG-13 horror typically really sucks. Like, horror is just a genre that has to be rated R. It has to. Otherwise, it rarely ever works, and this is one of the rare instances where it actually does work. There's parts of this movie that are ambiguous, and I showed this movie to my girlfriend yesterday. She had never seen it before, and we were talking about it afterward, and she was like, oh, I think like this part might have been a dream, and this might have been that. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, it could be. Who sent the postcard? The reason why he only hears about the Dolphin Hotel is because he gets this postcard that says, "Don't stay in room 1408." Well, who sent it? You never find out. Also, who is the Hammerman? This dude keeps attacking him with a hammer, and he even shows up in the ship painting. Who's the Hammerman? You never find out, but it's kind of fun to theorize, right? Let's see. Oh, one more visual that I freaking love in this movie is the melting numbers. When he sets the room on fire at the end, the melting numbers is cherry on top. But let's talk about that ending. So, I love that Mike beats the room. John Cusack plays Mike. I love that he beats the room. He makes a Molotov cocktail and lights the room on fire. Because, this movie so easily could have just ended like the way that like Jeepers Creepers did. I've never liked the ending of Jeepers Creepers. How the room wins. They so easily could have done that. But I like that John Cusack wins. He takes a Molotov cocktail and he's laughing as the room is burning up around him. And you just know he won. Like, I love that he beat the room. And then Samuel L. Jackson's sitting there in his office with the drink. And he's telling him, well done. I love it. The movie is also really unsettling. When he first starts to realize that he's locked in this room, he looks out his window and sees someone in the building across in a room. And he's like, hey, like, call the police, help, like, I'm trapped. And then he realizes the guy's mimicking all his moves. He's doing everything to, oh, it's so creepy, dude. I freaking love it. I absolutely love it. And then, of course, I love the twist. We gotta talk about the twist. Well, actually, I like the twist. I don't love the twist. But the twist is good. Let's talk about the twist. So, the twist is, before he gets to the hotel room, he goes surfing and he wipes out on his board. And then that scene basically ends. And so you're kind of left wondering, what was the point of that scene? It comes back later when he wakes up on the beach again. And he thinks the whole thing was just this really, really real dream. But it wasn't. He goes to the post office, and all the post office workers start breaking down all the walls. And he realizes he's still in the hotel room. I love that twist. The only thing that could have made that better was that they, in my opinion, they should have had him think he escaped the room. They should have shown him leaving the room and then thinking he's out, but then you find out he's actually back in. I think that would have made it less predictable, and it would have worked better. If he had actually escaped, that would have been better. Now, before I get into my cons, I do want to talk about the endings of this movie, because this movie has 3 endings. I got this movie on DVD. The ending that I have is the one where he lives. He survives the fire, and he plays the tape recorder, and you can hear the conversation between him and his ghost daughter, and his ex-wife is looking at him like, I love that ending. It's great. But there's another ending that I might like either slightly less or about the same, and it's the Samuel L. Jackson ending when he goes to his funeral and John Cusack pops up in the back seat, all burnt up, and then it shows him in the hotel room and his daughter's calling out to him, and he turns around and he's like, oh, yes, and then he fades away. That's a really great ending too. But the worst one for me is the one where, like, I guess it's like his editor or his publisher or whatever gets in the mail like some files that Cusack had sent him, and then you start hearing voiceovers from throughout the movie. I don't really like that one. But the one where he lives in the Samuel L. Jackson endings are both really good. I think that's kind of, it could be a little bit of a detriment to the movie, because you can tell they couldn't really figure out how to end it, and that's why there's the 3 different endings. And depending on like what version of the movie you buy, depends on what ending you get. But I got my preferred ending. I really like the one where Cusack survives. But the Samuel L. Jackson one is great too. All right, now let's get into my cons. I do have a few. So, like I said, it should have had him think he escaped rather than making him think it was all a dream. Some of the editing in the movie is like really choppy, and it's one of those things where you wouldn't notice it unless you're like me, the type of person who kind of knows to look for that sort of thing. But if you're not, you're probably not even going to notice it. And then, this is just my opinion, but like I said, horror movies really should have R ratings. When Samuel L. Jackson's talking to John Cusack, and he's showing him like these crime scene photos, and he's telling him, like in the elevator on the ride up, he's like one of the maids like stabbed her eyes out with scissors. You don't see anything nearly that gruesome in this movie, and it's because it's a PG-13 movie. Even in the scene where there's blood seeping through the walls, it's like black. They have to do that for PG-13 movies. You have to make blood like darker. The movie could have shown us these really messed up things that they were talking about if the movie was rated R. And so I think it would have helped add to, oh, that's messed up factor of the film if it was rated R. But maybe some people completely disagree. Let me know in the comments. But anyway, that's my review for 1408. I love this movie. It's a great, scary movie. It's not a traditional ghost movie. There's not really a lot of ghost in it. But there is some, and it's pretty cool. But it's really about Cusack versus The Room. That's really what this movie is about. It's not a traditional ghost film, and I love that about it. It's something different. And I really love this movie. With all that being said, I'm going to give 1408 a 95 out of 100. And that is going to conclude our 2024 Halloween special. If you guys enjoyed, if you did, hit that like button, subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And with all that being said, I will see y'all next time with whatever I got. Probably a Christmas special. That'll probably be my next thing. And yeah. Much love, guys. Much love. I love you. Okay, bye.